It is Monday, September 24th. Welcome to the podcast edition of The Drive. I'm your host, Paul Swann. Now, I've got some good news and bad news. The bad news is we didn't get the podcast recorded from earlier this afternoon. So what you're listening to now is me setting up what I did say. We had some technical difficulties, but I've got the interviews from earlier in the day. So I'm going to play those back for you right now. And first up, you're going to hear from Ryan B. He got a chance to finally get some action against NC State a few days ago at Jones C. Edwards Stadium. I look for him to be on the field a lot more against Western Kentucky, as it's the start of conference play for both Marshall and Western Kentucky. So the theme today for me was kind of find out what these guys are feeling, what they're thinking about this big rivalry game between Marshall and Western Kentucky. And when I talked to Ryan earlier, I kind of asked him, hey, isn't this like the best time for you to be getting back right when conference is starting, also when it's Western Kentucky? So we're getting the conference play now, and it's Western Kentucky, and it's a perfect time for you to really make your arrival. I would say just in time for probably one of the bigger games on the schedule.
Yeah, it's a good week to come back, I guess. I've been begging Coach Price to let me come back a little sooner, but just being cautious. And now that we're in conference play, it's it's go time. Everybody's 0-0. What you've done up to this point doesn't matter because the ultimate goal is a conference championship, and this is the first stepping stone towards that.
How important is it that it's Western Kentucky week? This is one that fans circle. I don't know how players keep it year to year, but the fans keep everything.
Yeah, as going back to 2014, that was my redshirt year. And they beat us in overtime, and I wasn't playing or anything. It was still a heartbreaker, and you keep that kind of stuff with you. So it is a rivalry, and take it for what it is. But it's also the first week of conference, so it doesn't matter who we're playing. We got to get to our goal, and the first step is Western Kentucky.
Now, the perfect cure to a loss is always the next game. But does it help that it is one conference to Western Kentucky, and just the fact that you get to start over again? You're 0-0 now.
Yeah. We got to take last week and just put it behind us, learn from our mistakes, and fix it, and move forward. You can't sit on a loss, because that's not going to help you going forward. You just got to lock in, focus, and get ready for the next game.
Now, what have you seen? I know film studies coming up, but what have you seen on Western Kentucky? What do you know?
We just watched a little bit this morning, but they got some new guys on the offensive line. They rotate quite a bit. I think that I've seen 3 different quarterbacks so far for them, so it makes it kind of tough, trying to prep for them because one guy plays totally different than another. Their one quarterback, I can't remember his name, but he's a scrambler. He'll run out of the pocket even if there's no pressure. So he wants to get out on the run. Where the other two, they want to stay in the pocket and look downfield. So it's a different type of preparation. Studying for each guy, and so we're gonna have to focus on that and preparing for it all because you never know what we're gonna get.
Does one do something different than the other, or is this more of we'll just rotate guys in, try to keep the other team off balance?
Well, I think the first guy went out on injury or something, and I'm not sure why they've been rotating 2 in place of him. But I think the other guy, he's like I said, he's more of a runner. So down distance, whatever. I'm not a coach. I don't know how you work all that, but they rotate 3 guys. That's what we know. So we got to prep for it all.
For you personally, how did it feel to be back out there Sunday, and how frustrating was it the first couple of games?
It was real frustrating. That's not how I wanted to start my senior year. It's about the worst way you could start a senior year, but no, I can't help it. What happened, and but I'm back now and healthy, so that's good. It felt really good to be out there with my guys. His first 2 weeks it was hurting me. It's like you said, frustrating, but I'm back and now ready to start conference.
Go down to Western. What do you remember about being down there before? What do you expect?
That was 2 years ago. It was a good atmosphere when we went out there. They had a lot of fans, but we had we had quite a bit of fans out there too. You know, it was not too far of a drive, but yeah, like I said, it was a good atmosphere, and I'm excited to get back out there and play.
With this game now, you get to be out there, but at the same time, you get to see maybe the one benefit that you not being out there was. So there's some guys who got some opportunities maybe a little early, and you probably on the sideline got to see a few guys, I don't want to say grow up, but they definitely grew into their positions while you weren't there.
Oh, absolutely. You know, guys like, you know, Joey Maddox, Rodney Kroom, Milan Lanier, the rotating tackles, they played great. You know, I went down and they didn't miss a step. They locked in and focused on what they needed to do, and they did their job, which is great to see, because now that I'm back and playing, we can just rotate that much more. And, you know, on Saturday we were rotating every 3 or 4 plays on the inside, and that's huge for a D-line because everybody stays fresh. And even the guys on the outside, you know, like Hodge and Kobe Cumberlander, they're playing great too. So all around on the defensive line we're deep, and that's good because, you know, when a guy gets tired or goes down or whatever, the next guy's going to step in, and we're not going to bat an eye.
Is that the key to this conference season? Just the fact that you've got some more depth there now, and even with the NC State game, you guys were fresh. I mean, they were pretty good at moving the ball, but it felt like your unit didn't break. It was more, okay, they're going to get theirs, but at the end of the day, they're not really walking up and down the field on us here. You know,
yeah.
Just getting a few spots here, but this wasn't a situation where they just outclassed you. You guys were like totally up to the challenge on that one.
Yeah, I think we stepped to the challenge and fought. You know, we made some mental errors and stuff we got to correct this week. But I mean, we watched the film this morning. I know nobody, at least on the D line, nobody was scared, and everybody stepped up, nobody backed down, and you know, NC State was a good offensive line. You know, they got guys that'll play at the next level. And their quarterback is tremendous. So I think we stepped to the challenge. But I mean, every week you got stuff you want to correct, and that's what we're going to do this week, and just keep moving forward.
All right, next up is Jordan Dowry. Same question for him that I had for Ryan, just a little different wording. I asked him if he was excited for this game. A lot of fans circle this one on the calendar, and here's what he had to say about that. So we're on to Western Kentucky.
Yeah.
That's one you circle every year on the calendar.
Well, we're circling a different spot this year. It's weird. I've never played Western this early in the season. We usually end conference schedule and regular season play with them, and starting out conference play against them is it's a weird reversal of how the schedule usually works out, but I'm excited about it.
What is it about that game that makes it always fun and important? I mean, Marshall's won and lost games over the years, but what is it about Western Kentucky for you that makes that a game of you circle looking forward to that?
Well, a lot of it for me has just been the way it's all landed every year. That game has meant something as far as going to a conference championship, going to see what your bowl standing was going to be, all those sorts of things. Because of where it hit, there was a big question mark at the end of the season on how your postseason was going to work out, and that's sort of where it fell. And I'm one of the few guys that was here in 2014 that was hit for that overtime game, and that one ruined a perfect season. So like that's one of those things. It's end of the season, everything came down to that moment, and we fell short. And it's just that's sort of an example of how that end of the season, that game has meant something more as far as postseason play and everything else because of where it's landed every year.
You share that with some of the younger guys, just to stress the importance of what this game is and why this game is this way?
Well, not too much. I think at the end of the day, we're a different team than we were then, and they're a different team than they were then. I mean, there's only a handful of us that were on the team then, and none of us were players. We were all redshirting that year. So it's to say that affects us now, I don't think is really the same, just because we're all different guys. They're different guys. I mean, some of our guys were freshmen in high school when that game happened. So that's not gonna carry any weight for them. But what this game means for our conference schedule and for where we want to go means that it's an important game.
It is kind of funny, though, because Keon, post-game, Saturday, when we asked him about Western, he mentioned that 2014 game, too. So I know there's only a handful of you all, but that sort of, even 5 years later, sort of sticks in your craw a little bit.
It does. It sticks out because that was, the perfect season that we almost had. And that doesn't happen. That you very rarely get the opportunity to do that, and even though I wasn't on the field, I was invested in that team, and so was Keon, and the guys that were here then were invested and cared and put a lot of effort into doing our part, our role on scout team and all those sorts of things, and so we wanted it as bad as the guys who were playing, and it's obviously disappointing when something like that doesn't work out, but I don't really think the results of that game don't have any effect on the game coming up.
Yeah, you look good, and going there, it's a tough place to play. Kind of a different atmosphere, a little bit smaller, but at the same time, it can get loud and get a little bit rowdy at times too.
When we played there a couple years ago, it was a good environment. They were loud. The fans were into it. We had a ton of fans there, so it was a great environment the last time I played there. So it should be fun.
What's your early impressions of that team this year?
They have played really well against some good teams, and I think that's when you get into conference play, everyone brings it because there's more at stake in conference games because everything that you want to do, every team in the conference is shooting for a conference championship, and you can't do that if you don't lock in for every conference game. So I think that's the biggest thing is we have to focus because this game matters more than any game so far because it's conference play now. Now the urgency has changed.
Record aside, what do you think that they do really well?
I think they play hard. They've got a lot of guys that fly around, work just snap to whistle kind of guys, and that means if you don't do the same, then you might have a 3-4 yard gain, but they're going to come off blocks and they're going to stop it from becoming that 10-20 yard gain that you need. You need those bigger plays to sustain stuff. So if you don't finish the play as hard as they do, then they're gonna finish and they're gonna stop us from being able to get the explosive plays that you end up needing.
How much of an emphasis is there on finishing plays this week? It seemed like there were a couple times on Saturday where you all seemed really close to busting a run. I know the rushing attack gets a lot of emphasis, but it seemed like there were just 1 or 2 little things that could have sprung some big gains.
Well, and the tough thing about that is you never know what those moments are going to be, and hindsight's 20/20. When you watch it on film, it's like, oh, if I'd have done this, but at the time, there's really no way of knowing that if you'd have just done this one little thing different, that would have been the thing that would have sprung it for a longer play or anything like that. So it's tough because you don't know when those moments are going to be, and that's why you just have to go as hard as you can every play, and if you finish as well as you can every play, then there's nothing more you can ask. When you watch film, you can be happy with the fact that you gave everything you could. So that's the focus. It's not so much what happened last week. It's about what can we do going forward to make sure that we give ourselves the best chances to win.
In that regard, with the run game, what's the focus there?
We haven't sat down and talked about scheme and what we're doing and how we're going to go about running the ball. But I think every offensive lineman wants to run the ball, and I think that's just something that you need to be a balanced offense, and we work hard at it every day. So whatever plays they call, I'm going to run them as hard as I can. But as far as what the plan is, I don't know yet.
Is there concern or frustration that you haven't really been able to get the run game going like you want to?
No, I'm happy with the guys I'm playing next to and the guys who are carrying the ball behind me. And I think at the end of the day, there's obviously things that we all have to work on as a unit. But I'm not concerned about the guys that we have on the field and how hard they play. So there's some things we need to work on and improve on, but I think that we're all working in that direction.
Okay, next up is the freshman quarterback, Isaiah Green. He had an okay game against NC State. Problem was, running game wasn't that good. NC State was able to key in on him. I think they threw everything, including the kitchen sink, at him, and he did okay. Now, this game, a little bit different because it's conference. It means more. It's also Western Kentucky. He's a new player to the Thundering Herd, doesn't know much about the rivalry. All he knows that it is a rivalry. Here's what he had to say. So we're on Western Kentucky now. This is one that a lot of fans circle. I know years past, it's been some of the most exciting football maybe in conference. So what's your early impression of this series and finally getting to be really an active participant in it?
Well, I just know that Western Kentucky is a big rival. So, anytime you play a rival, you want to be a little bit more focused and locked in than usual because you never know how those games can go. But just for me being my first time, I'm excited to get a chance to show my abilities in the rivalry. It should be a pretty good game. They should have a good turnout. We should have a good turnout. So I'm just excited to play.
So conference play now, season resets. You're pretty successful on the non-conference side, but now you go back to 0-0. How's that feel to now you got a few games under your belt and you're going out into a situation where, all right, we're 0-0. These games mean more because it's conference. This impacts your season more so than a win or a loss, say, against NC State does.
Just getting a chance to play those non-conference games, it gave me good experience going into the conference game because winning the conference is the ultimate goal. So, going into the conference with that experience that I got playing 3 good teams, in my opinion, it helps a lot because when you go into the conference play, that's when everything has to be on point. Like, everybody got to be together. We got to have good games as a team so we can accomplish our goal that we set at the beginning of the year.
How would you evaluate yourself after first 3 games? Where do you feel you stand?
I would say I played pretty good the first 3 games. I didn't do nothing spectacular, but at the same time, I didn't have a real bad game. So I don't know. I try not to critique myself too much. I just leave that up to other people and my coaches. So I just focus on me and what I'm doing, and right now I'm just locked in on getting prepared to play Western Kentucky.
Does that help, just the fact that you can just go to the next game? You have a great game, you still go to the next game. And if you have a game where you're not happy with yourself or it's a losing effort, even though you did your best, you can still just move to the next game, not really worried about that. Is that a good trait to have? Because sometimes coaches worry that the previous loss will affect the next game.
Yeah, well, no. In this business, it's like you can never get too high and you can never get too low at the same time. So coming off a win or coming off a loss, you got to be even keel every time because that next week you got to lock in on getting prepared to play the next team because you always going to have a game the next week. So, we try not to like, I don't know the word, but try not to focus too much on the week before. Either if we win or lose, we put that game to bed and get ready for our next opponent.
Has it been fun knowing that teams look at you as a new guy out there, so they're going to throw everything they possibly can at you? Has that been fun, just the fact that you haven't been getting standard looks? I mean, they're going to throw everything and the kitchen sink at you to see if they rattle you. So as a quarterback, is that fun knowing that, okay, they're really going to key in on me, and I'm probably going to see some stuff out here that's pretty exotic, or they're just going to come at me?
Well, it's fun because, like, when you know a team is trying to throw stuff at you and you still have success against them, it's fun playing that game against them. But I don't really think about me too much. It's more of a team thing. So if they want to change up what they do on defense because I'm in the game, then that's fine. We'll find a way to make plays and get the ball in the end zone.
Running game maybe not as successful as it could have been. Is that a concern there? Because it felt like knowing that the running game wasn't able to produce as much as you would have liked, they were able to key in a little bit more on what you were doing as far as the passing game is concerned. So, any concerns there?
I mean, it's not really a concern, but we're gonna fix what we make mistakes on, and we're gonna get better every week. So it's not really too big of a concern because we're pretty good at looking at what we did wrong and fixing those mistakes.
Okay, you've got everything now that you might have heard on the live show earlier in the afternoon. So you're caught up. We'll have the show in its regular format tomorrow. But if you like me doing more impromptu stuff like this, let me know. Send me a tweet at Paul Swann. Let me know what you think. If you do like me doing more impromptu stuff, I'll start doing more of it. Thanks for downloading the show or listening to it. Really do appreciate it. Back tomorrow to do it all over again. And thanks again for being a part of The Drive. I'm your host, Paul Swann, and you can catch me every day, either live on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930, or right here, wherever you get your podcast. Thanks for listening.